What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fanatically Speaking. I'm Kent.
I'm Logoff. I'm the Logoff legend. And we're here to say everything that every fan is thinking, but louder and probably a little crazier. Get ready. This is Fanatically Speaking with Kent and Logoff. You know what's funny? Like, I'm not a social media hater. I'm a social media hater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that I get on the internet and start hating people on social media. That's not what I do.
The first half was absolutely horrible. You know, just inept offense, inept defense, special teams, you name it.
I'm gonna turn into Oprah. Why were you so angry?
He sucks this season. This game, whatever's going on, right? And the very next pitch, guess what they do? They double homer, and he's like, "Told you, Dad. Why are you always knocking down people?"
You got the highs and the lows.
Yeah. So I do that.
You need the highs and the lows, and
so I do that. Yeah. But
I'm trying to be the voice of reason here.
I am what I am.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. I'm Kent, the co-host and promoter.
I am Logoff, the Logoff legend, the hater of social media. I am the co-host and producer of the show.
All right, and this episode is all football, and it is
all NFL.
All NFL. Well, yeah, mainly NFL. Then we're going to touch in college, but the main thing is the NFL, and it is that I am now on the same page with Logoff. We don't trust anybody in the NFL. DTA, don't trust anybody.
Don't trust a soul. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust any coaching staff. Don't trust any roster.
Nope.
Don't trust any schedule. Don't trust the historical precedents of any division. Everything is up for grabs. And I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Kent.
Okay.
And this is something we never talked about. This just came to my mind. I'm curious what the gambling sports books look like. Because this season's been so unpredictable. How can you predict anything?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what their mind is going through their minds. But this has to be one of the most frustrating NFL seasons because you can say what you want to about how good you think a team is. It means nothing right now.
Yeah, and I think we've touched on gambling a lot, and it makes you really think about some stuff that happens during these games. Some of these decisions by the coaches, decisions by players. I'm not saying referee calls. I'm not saying there's something going on. I'm just saying that gambling's so huge now, and we're seeing stuff that is just kind of out of the norm.
Totally out of the norm. And not to go too off script on this, but like you said, you mentioned the calls. You mentioned, we got players spitting on each other. you got kickers kicking 70-yard field goals. Yeah. You got, just blatant calls not being called, flimsy calls, being flagged and, changing the outcomes of games. It's Definitely. So unpredictable, man. And it just makes it hard. So, no, I think we kind of covered the bases, man. Don't trust anybody.
Nope.
And go ahead. Where you want to start, man? Which matchup from this past week do you want to kind of lead off with?
I'm going to let you go down. Just run down the schedule. And we're going to hit on each game quick as we possibly can on the outcome of the game and our thoughts.
Got it. So, yeah, let's start, Thanksgiving, Green Bay and Detroit. So, obviously, Detroit hosts the playoff game. The Detroit hosts a Thanksgiving game every year. And here they are playing a division opponent in the Green Bay Packers. The game was competitive. We all had high hopes for the Lions this year. They came out hot, winning really good games. Dan Campbell, really good play calling. Took some risk that benefited them. But, for you to lose that game like that in that fashion on Thanksgiving, it hurts a lot. What did you think about it?
Yeah, competitive division rival. And again, there was a call where there was a touchdown for the Packers. And I'm not completely still sold that he had control of the ball when he got his first foot down. But they called it a touchdown by Wicks. And then and later he made another unbelievable catch there was no doubt he caught it. But yeah, Jared Goff, the Lions, like I said, Dan Campbell calling plays. It was going good, and now it's kind of dropping. They call a lot of trick plays. Those trick plays aren't working, and when that happens, it's over. They can't seem to get out of their own way when the trick plays don't work. And we saw that in the playoffs last year when they got smashed by the Commanders. But now we're seeing it during the regular season. And they've got hurt, but everybody's injured, so injuries are not going to be an excuse for anybody. And the Packers, again, they've been up and down. They every week, when they're winning, then you get to hear about how great their defense is and how they're Super Bowl contenders. And then you see them lose to, the Panthers and the Eagles and other teams, Browns. So, yeah, I mean, it does nothing for me. It was a division game. I'm more disappointed in the Lions because it's their game, right? They host Thanksgiving, home field, and they fell short.
Yeah, they fell short, and like you said, it's weird. I feel like as we go through each of these games, I'm gonna be the least amount of impressed with a team that wins than I am as a team that lost. And to actually kind of make that point, let's go to the very next game. Let's go to Cowboys Chiefs, and we saw the flashes that Kansas City had. We saw some great plays and some great passes that Patrick Mahomes and, Travis Kelce were able to make. But, Dallas was able to control that game in a lot of ways. They were able to score when they needed to, and they were able to put up the points. I'm still not totally sold on the Cowboys. Their win record is what it is. And it's great for football, when the Cowboys are in the hunt. They're a pretty much a 500 team with a tie. And, they're still 2.5 games back in the NFC East. But, even though they were able to go out and win a big game in a big stage against, Patrick Mahomes, I'm still not totally sold on them. Pretty sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm impressed with them. I mean, when you can win 3 games in a row when they were left for dead, and, of course, that got going by them beating the lowly Las Vegas Raiders. And they made some moves, good moves, and they're playing better. But let's be honest, right? I think the last few games for them, and even this Chiefs game, it says more about the Eagles and the Chiefs than the Cowboys. I'm not going to go on a big rant. I'm not going to sit here and blame the referees or the call them, but we all know how many flags have been called the last 3 games. Overwhelmingly, a lot of flags on the opposing team. Hell, you couldn't watch that Chiefs-Cowboy game without a flag being thrown. You knew pass interference about every other play. The Cowboys' best play was just throw the ball up and get a flag. And I'm not saying they weren't flags.
Yeah.
But some are questionable, just like we talked about earlier. Questionable calls. There's questionable calls in that Philly game,
yeah.
And I'm not saying that's costing the game or deciding the game. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting that the last 3 games, the opposing team to the Dallas Cowboys are getting in the double digits, mid-teens of flags. And and I'm not going to go into detail.
There's a lot of reason. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying there's a few plays if you go back and look, right? I mean, we can go back to that CeeDee Lamb stiff arm to Cooper DeJean, big play in the Eagle game. If you watch that Chiefs game, one of the touchdowns they scored, Travis Kelce, he got twisted, turned, pulled, everything else. He worked his ass off to catch that ball. No flag. No flag. Even in back to the Eagles game, the no-name tight end that caught the 1 touchdown, he literally blocked Makuba to the ground, and that's why he was wide open. And once again, no flag. And again, that's some of my Cowboy hate. But the Cowboys, again, they're a good team. They got to prove it, right? They're right there, and they got some big games coming up. And we mentioned the Lions. They got the Lions next. So, again, it's going to be everybody's battling. It's playoff time now. I think the whole NFL is really like playoff. Every game's a playoff game for a lot of teams. And the Cowboys, though, like you said, once again, though, do I believe in them? A little more than I did. But like I just said, I think it's more about how the Eagles have played this year and how the Chiefs have played than the Cowboys. I mean, kudos to them. They play great at home. They won 2 home games in a row. Again, they beat Detroit. I'm going to place my bet.
Well, and that's the other thing. I am not going that far to bet on the Cowboys. I believe you are what your record says you are. And when you're a 500 team, with a tie on your record where you couldn't just squeak out and get a win, versus Green Bay, it tells me what I need to know. The one thing I'm going to give them credit for is they have picked the right time to start clicking. And maybe it is matchup based where they caught Kansas City slipping, they caught Philly slipping, and now we see Detroit slipping. So maybe they can play them and get another win and just kind of keep their win streak going. So maybe they're just catching lightning in a bottle and they're able to capitalize on the moment. But all in all, at the end of the day, when it comes time to win a big game in a big moment, I just still don't trust them. And I've got, 3 decades worth of history that tell me that I shouldn't. And I'm not going to let 3 weeks or 4 weeks overwrite that. They're going to have to go out there and prove it and show me that that's what they're capable of doing. A lot of the magic that happens is Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes. We were texting in the middle of the game. The dude's incredible. I was expecting a comeback. I was expecting him to make the throws, to get them down the field, to get in scoring position. And I don't see this gentleman making the adjustments season to season. I feel like they're like, oh, well, this has always worked for us, so we're just going to run this same play again. Travis Kelce, still long in the tooth, no matter what Tony Romo says on the broadcast, and just speaking about just how, how great Kelce is. And look at his footwork and, all of that's great. But at the same time, he's an aging tight end. What is he, 37? And he's not what he used to be. He's having a great year, but he's not the dominant player that he used to be. And I think they're just trying to hold on to what they've got for just a little too long. And, I mean, you can see it's representing itself in their win total. But they've had a good run, and they're still in the running for a playoff spot. And it could be dangerous if they do get a playoff spot. But they're not the number 1 overall seed Kansas City Chiefs that we've been used to seeing for the last, 4 or 5 seasons. It's not happening.
No, they're doing things. And again, this is where you credit the teams that win, and you got to talk about the teams that lose. And the Chiefs are, like I said, they're dropping passes, dropping interceptions. And when you do that and the other team doesn't, that's what's the difference of these ball games. So, but yeah, like I said, even though they're 6-6, I'm not ready to say the Chiefs are done.
I'll say it. I'll say it. I mean, it's
Go ahead, say
it. I'll say it. The AFC is too competitive. You can see there's other teams that are willing to go and win. I feel like a lot of the games that they've lost have been winnable games.
Yeah.
And if they can't win those games, I don't see them advancing in the playoffs where everybody realizes it's a 1-game sample. There is no next week. You got to win now.
Yeah.
And for them not to be able to win that game when they were in positions to do it, we could talk about the calls. I get it.
Yeah.
And Dallas did what they needed to do to score the points.
Oh, yeah.
But we are used to them overcoming those obstacles. And Patrick Mahomes putting on a Superman cape and eking out a 3-point win, and he couldn't do it. And he hadn't been able to do it this season to the point where they've lost half their games. I'm saying it's over.
Okay. I'm good with it.
I'm saying it's over.
All
and let's roll to probably the most anger-fueled matchup. We're not gonna spend a lot of time on this, Kent.
No, I'm not. Because hey, my video's out there. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Check it out. YouTube.
It's out there.
It's out there. Go look
Kent's breakdown of Bears, Eagles. We saw it. So it was the Black Friday game, Black Friday matchup in the middle of the afternoon. We exchange a lot of information throughout the week, just as friends. And you've been telling me forever, hey man, offense not clicking. Jalen Hurts not getting it done. We know the A.J. Brown complaining. Saquon not running the ball well. I don't know if there's maybe something that we don't know, that maybe there's some injuries that they're hiding on the injury report. but I've never seen a team with this much talent look as offensively gun shy and afraid to take the chances, scared to turn the ball over than I've seen in this year's Philadelphia Eagles. To me, that is the main issue. I don't think it's execution. I don't think it's as much of play calling. I think it's more we want to try to play it safe, and we're good enough to be able to win those games when clearly they aren't. I'll go ahead and give the Bears credit. They went out and did what they needed to do. A lot of eyes. It was a really big game, and for Caleb Williams to keep his composure and to have a complete game to where all he didn't have to do was screw it up. He didn't have to screw it up and they'd win. Let the run game take over and go wild. I got to give him credit for managing the game enough to win something of this magnitude to the point where now they're 9-3.
In the
like,
they're the one seed right now.
I gotta take my hat off to him, man. Like that was impressive, and he's gonna have to play better if they're gonna advance through the playoffs. But he's done what he's need to do, and I'm very happy for that guy because he's had up and downs, man. And I like to see him play well as a player. And I'm glad he was actually able to put it together. It was just unfortunate that it was against my team. But, yeah, man, you like you said, you already did a lot of your breakdowns and stuff. But just kind of overall, how'd you feel about it?
So I'm going to summarize. So there's a lot of blame to go around. So anybody that's mad that Hurts threw that interception, he's only got two. He was just trying something. Nothing else was working. He thought, throw it up, see if AJ get it. Didn't happen. They shot themselves in the foot because they did get a turnover with the interception, and then they fumbled on the tush push. And again, as I mentioned in my video, the tush push is dead. So come up with something else, and I know that's asking for a lot for this offense and this coaching staff to be creative offensively because, again, they are vanilla.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple though. If you watch
if
you watch the game late in the game and you say, and again, go back to my video. Just give A.J. Brown the ball. It's not hard. He is a top receiver. It works. Give him the ball. Other things I've noticed, Jalen Hurts is running less this season, about half, compared to the last probably 3-4 seasons. I think that matters in their offense. They should blitz more on defense. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's one game. I'm not dead on the defense that they just got the ball run up their gut. It is what it is. The Bears wanted it more. It was like I said, the only person who showed life in that game was A.J. Brown. It was clear every Bears player wanted it more. Former Eagle C.J. Gardner-Johnson wanted it more. Eagles just looked lifeless the whole game. Disappointed in that. And as you mentioned, they need to execute on offense. There's enough blame to go around for each game that they've played bad, even each game that they played and won. Again, you could go to the running game, you go to the offensive line, you go to Jalen Hurts sometimes, Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, receivers. There's not one thing, like you said. It's just something's not right. And for the Bears, good for them. They're the 1 seed now by default. We'll talk about why. And, they won some close games. Give them credit. You got to win however you do it. Do I believe in them? And do I think, oh, my God, they're going to win the Super Bowl? No.
Of course you don't.
No. Because, if you say, I don't trust anybody.
Well, and I'll say this just to kind of put a bow on this because I like the idea of springing this on you. You know I like to spring shit on you, man, live. I've got some news for you. It is involving your favorite OC, Kevin Patullo. I don't know if you heard the news.
It's like breaking
Have you
news?
heard anything recent? Have you heard anything recently about it? He did get fired. He didn't quit. None of that.
I didn't hear anything.
And this just came out recently. And when I say recently, I mean within the last few hours of this recording.
Okay.
Apparently, his house was egged.
Nice. I promise you, I've been in North Carolina this whole time.
Yeah, so it wasn't you.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
There were reports cops were called over to his residence of people throwing things at his house. The accusations were that they were rocks, and the police came out and said, nope, his home was just getting egged furiously. So just a little humor. I know you tried to call for that man's job at one point, but I just wanted to add some humor to it. I'm not going to say he didn't deserve to have his house egged. Maybe it's just some playful pranks, but we know people in Philly were pretty upset with him. Let's go to the surprising Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Jaguars played the Tennessee Titans, which are terrible, bad team. We know that. Drafted Cameron Ward. He's struggling as a rookie quarterback. Had some injuries, was banged up, but Jacksonville Jaguars, sneaky good. Sneaky, 8-win football team. Leading their division, and I think we've seen them struggle enough, even in their wins this year, that they're one of these people, one of these teams that we don't trust. I know I don't. How do you feel about them? And I'm just going to say specifically, because he had a lot of hype coming in, a lot. And I think a lot of it may have been his look and the way he played in college. How do you feel about Trevor Lawrence?
I don't know how to feel about Trevor Lawrence. I really don't. I think
you do.
There's times you see him make amazing plays, amazing passes, and then there's other times you're just like, this guy's the number one pick. But as the Jaguars, like I said, they beat the Titans. That's the one team I think we all agree on that we don't trust them anyways, but we know they suck. There's no middle ground for the Tennessee Titans. The Jaguars are 8-4 at the moment. And I would argue they might be 10-2 if they didn't have to go play overseas for 2 games. So I stand by that. That's
a good point.
I really do.
Point. They are the London Jaguars. I get it.
Yeah, I think one game was a home game, so they lost at least one home game. So maybe 9-3. They are what they are. Like you said, they are what their record is. Don't really trust them. It's a feel-good story. They bounced back from a bad year. Good new coach, new system. They added some pieces here recently with Jacoby Myers. So, again, could they win their division? Sure. Do I trust anybody out of that division? No, because as we said, we don't trust anybody. So, again, I think they're just a feel-good story, and a playoff berth a winning record would be a win for them this season.
I agree with that. If they make a playoff berth, especially if they host a playoff game, wow, that would be massive for them as a franchise. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. He's had some flashes the last couple of years where at the end of the year he's been able to make some plays to win some big games for him. I think there was one game he threw 4 touchdowns in the second half, and it's so we know he's got the potential, but I haven't seen enough. They've got Travis Hunter. I haven't seen enough from that team to make me feel confident in them as a whole, as a unit. So, I'm not going to crap on them. Their record is strong. And then, like you said, if they can host a playoff game or get into the playoffs at all, it's a success for them, because I don't think they had really high expectations, especially the way that their season kind of started out with the, kind of a bumpy, rocky start. So let's roll to another game. Let's talk about the Texans and the Colts. Now, again, Houston Texans, really sneaky, 7-win team, 7-5. The Colts, Mr. Indiana Jones himself, Danny Dimes, 8-4. Colts were playing great football coming out of the gate, got a really big lead, within their division, and now they're just starting to slip, showing us who we thought they were. Watch Daniel Jones turn back into a pumpkin when they played the Steelers, getting destroyed. The Texans are able to win these low-scoring, really close games. But from that matchup, how did you feel about it?
The Colts and Daniel Jones. If there's somebody I definitely don't trust now, is Daniel Jones. And I don't trust the Colts anymore. They have a great running game. But again, you got to have quarterback. You got to have solid quarterback play. And they are falling so fast that now they're not even leading their division. The Texans, That defense is real, one of the best in the league, and they keep showing it week after week now. No matter who the quarterback is, right? That defense holds teams down, and they find ways to win. They were a favorite, definitely my favorite coming into the season. I thought they were going to build off their last season's success. They had some injuries, had stuff go on, drama, and I think they're putting it together. You mentioned the Cowboys putting it together at the right time. I think the Texans are putting it together at the right time. And, again, they're on the way up, Colts are on the way down. And just want to briefly mention, and we can maybe talk about this later with the Vikings, but I heard something today that said the Vikings next season, the only way to save and keep Justin Jefferson would be to sign Daniel Jones or Mac Jones. And I've never hated a take so bad in my life. I mean, the Vikings, if they're in real trouble, if they're going to ask Daniel Jones and Mac Jones to save their franchise. But that's another conversation. I don't trust Daniel Jones. No longer do I trust the Colts. I once believed in them, and they have proven me wrong. So I'm done with them.
I'm going to give Daniel Jones another chance. I think he was kind of riding high on the momentum that they had early in the season as a team. Taylor, being their running back, was kind of carrying the brunt for them. He slipped a little bit these last couple of games. I think their team is really good overall, and I think it's up to Daniel Jones. And by the way, it's a very interesting thing you said about Jalen Hurts not running as much. Daniel Jones doesn't run as much as he used to when he was with the Giants either. He's not running a lot as well. We know he's athletic.
Which is
weird.
We
know that dude's got wheels. It is weird.
It's weird with Shane Steichen that he wouldn't be running Daniel Jones more.
Correct.
Because he had Jalen Hurts and he ran, So.
And he ran them a lot. And I think it's maybe it's matchup based. Maybe it's, hey, he hasn't been having to run for them to win games. So why put him in a position where he may get dinged up? So, but I'm just saying, we know that he's a capable running quarterback. And I want to see him kind of step outside of that. And I think it adds an element to that Colts offense, because when you got a quarterback that can run and a running back like Taylor that can run, I think it changes the dynamic on the defensive side, where you make linebackers and DBs freeze, and you might be able to pick up another 6 or 7 yards, whether it's up the middle or on the sideline. So I'm just going to throw that out there. That was just something that was peculiar that popped out to me, especially when you brought that up about Jalen Hurts earlier. So I'm gonna talk about another game, and I'm gonna switch things up just a little bit. But I'm just gonna give you some stats. I'm not gonna tell you which game or which teams I'm talking about. I'm just gonna give you the stats really quick from this game. There was a game on Sunday. The quarterback for one team had 168 passing yards. The quarterback for the other team had 149 passing yards. The running back for the first team had 53 rushing yards. The running back for the second team had 91 rushing yards. Tight end had 67 receiving yards for the first team. For the second team, the tight end had 43 receiving yards and a touchdown. Okay? Very, very, very comparable stats, right? For both teams. And by the way, both quarterbacks both passed for 1 touchdown, no interceptions. However, one of them was the San Francisco 49ers. It scored 26 points. And the other was the Cleveland Browns. It scored 8 points.
That was my guess, by the way. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, it's got to be the Browns-Niners.
It was such a weird game because the offensive production wasn't much, but the 49ers were able to score enough in the second half to just kind of pull away from them. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about Shedeur. I am not going to overanalyze that dude in his second start as a football player, playing against a legitimate team. I do want to focus on the 49ers, now 9-4.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. In the NFC West, they have a decent defense and their starting quarterback back. I still don't trust them deep into a playoff run, especially when you look at any of the other matchups in the NFC. Hell, forget the NFC, in their own division. If they were playing the Rams or if they were playing the Seahawks in a playoff game, I don't know who I would take. I'd be more likely to bet on the Rams or to bet on the Seahawks than to take the 49ers. So it's kind of a coin flip. And look, 9 wins is impressive at this point in the year. 4 losses. I'm pretty sure they'll round out with, 11, maybe even 12 wins for the season, which is an impressive run, especially with the injuries that they've had. But how did you feel about it? Again, I don't want to go into the Shador thing. For him to match the offensive production as Brock Purdy did at his second start, I'm not going to knock him. But how did you feel about it?
So the Niners are just well coached. They've got a lot of injuries to some key guys on defense. No Warner, no Bosa, and they're still producing. They still got McCaffrey. Purdy's back. He's been okay. He's been average. They still got Kittle. So they got enough weapons to win games in the regular season. I don't know if that can take you far in the playoffs. As far as the Browns, Shador, again, I expected a little bit not as good as game, right, against the Niners. Better team, better defense. He didn't play bad. Not his fault. The key stat in this game that I was looking at was the Cleveland Browns had 2 fumbles lost by receivers. One by Harold Fannin Jr. He had 1 fumble. He lost it. And then the other one was Gage Larvaden. I don't know if that's it. I'm sorry if I don't know his name because I never heard him until yesterday. He fumbled 3 times and lost 1. So I don't know how you fumble 3 times as a receiver, but he did it. But credit to the Niners winning this game, not getting destroyed by the Browns defense. They only had 1 sack, and it was Myles Garrett. So I think that's a credit to the Niners offensive line, protecting Purdy. They did what they had to do, get it to McCaffrey, right? That's a good strategy, and then use the one good receiver that you got, or a few good receivers. Not really. Like I said, they're missing guys, but I don't trust them. As far as, like I said, they could win the division possibly. They can make the playoffs, but like I said, we don't trust anybody. I don't feel like they can just make a run to the Super Bowl. That would be one impressive run. And the Browns, again, like you said, Shador, not a bad start. He's going to start again. That's about it. I mean, like I said, he played solid, good as any rookie could play against San Francisco. That Browns defense just didn't do what it had been doing all season. It had a letdown yesterday. Got it.
No, and I totally agree with that. Good for them though. They're getting the wins as they need. It's up to them to make it into the playoffs and to have a strong showing. I just don't have faith in them. I don't trust them either. The shocking Carolina Panthers, who beat the Rams, and I watched a lot of that game. I probably watched 80% of that game, and I can't lie, man. I was pretty damn impressed. I've never been a huge fan of Bryce Young, and it's not his fault. I mean, that he's undersized. I've talked about his lack of arm strength. The defense played great in that game. I mean, when you got your defense out there getting you 6 points, it does make things easier for you. It kind of relieves the pressure. So, so a lot of that is a credit to the defense, not just, Bryce Young being able to, to throw for 3 touchdowns. But the Rams really miss an opportunity to kind of pull away in their division. We were just talking about the San Francisco 49ers. And now this division, it's a real competitive battle between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Panthers. And the Panthers are playing great football. Bryce Young is not ruining the game. Their running game's great. Their defense is okay. And I want to believe in them, but I remembered what they looked like at the beginning of the year. And this could be Fugazi. I can't bet any significant anything on the Panthers being a competent football team that just doesn't happen to get pick sixes and strip sacks, for, large chunk. You know what I mean? I can't count on that every game. So, the Rams had to travel all the way from one side of the country to the other to play in that game. Maybe their best team just didn't show up, but credit to the Panthers for getting that win. But I think if any Panther fan within this zip code that I'm in is honest with themselves, they don't trust those motherfuckers either.
No. Well, the Panthers have shown us this year, one game they can look like they're unbeatable and they're on the rise, and then the next week they lose to the Saints at home. Or they go to San Francisco and can't score. And Bryce Young misses throws or things like that. Yesterday, Bryce Young dropping them in there, making the throws. The Rams, again, the weather maybe was a factor. Again, all the way East Coast game. The weather was rainy, cold. I don't know if that mattered. Stafford, obviously, he doubled his interception total for the season in one game and then had the fumble that pretty much lost the game. So he obviously had a bad game. Even on the one touchdown to Devontae Adams, he tried a no-look, and Devontae Adams had to catch it. It was low behind him at his feet, and he still caught it. So he made that play. The defense for the Panthers down J.C. Horn in that game, that worried me. And credit, again, them guys stepped up. Guys who hadn't got to play a lot come in, get a sack, make a tackle. Mike Jackson with the pick six. Derek Brown, big sack, big batted ball that ended up being an interception. So this game to me was kind of what we're talking about. This is the NFL in a nutshell this season in this game. The Panthers week to week, we don't know. They're unpredictable. They truly are. They can win in Lambeau, beat the Rams, but then again lose to the Saints at home.
Correct.
Or get blown out every other week, right, early in the season. Or blow out a team. So
or destroy the Cowboys. No, I know what you mean. Like,
right.
Yeah,
I mean, they are.
It's hard to tell, man.
They are truly week to week. You do not know what team you're going to get. And the Rams, again, that's just this season, right? You see this great team who we think is the Super Bowl favorite, and they go in and they lose to the Carolina Panthers. So they lose their 1 seed. The Bears have it now. So, again, this is truly, like I said, this game to me, of all the games this week, was like, this is the NFL in a nutshell right here.
Well, I'll say this, and it's a terrible equivalency, but I'm going to go with it anyway. If you took the Panthers and made them less talented at their skill positions, they are the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of production. Same thing. You don't know what you're going to get.
They're actually better than the Philadelphia Eagles offensively.
We're not going to play that game.
I said that yesterday. They're drawing up some very creative plays to get the first down on fourth downs. They don't just say push our quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not giving you that.
That's okay.
I'm gonna pretend that we didn't hear that. Let's roll to the next game.
Right.
Another great team. Record-wise, that we still don't trust. And it's tough. It's tough when you go and you beat another team in your conference and you blank them 26-0, and you still don't trust them because Sam Darnold has shown what he's always been as an up and down quarterback. When you're watching the Seahawks beat the Vikings, a hurt Vikings team, without their actual starting quarterback, it was very unimpressive showing, and they won it at home. The Vikings were just giving the ball away. I don't know if you saw that. Like, it was the interceptions that were thrown and the fumbles that happened in that game were horrific. It was middle school football at its finest from the Minnesota Vikings. And even though the Seahawks look good doing it, have a record of 9-3 at the moment, I still don't trust them because I don't know what Sam Darnold's going to do when it comes to playoff time. And at 9-3 at this point in the year is a fantastic record. 4-2 at home. We know that stadium's super loud. I mean, what do you got, man? They're underwhelming to me.
Yeah, I don't trust Sam Darnold. You know that. Seattle, they got a pretty good team, though. Young coach, he's kind of changed everything there. But, of course, he picked up whatever Pete Carroll had built. They switched a few things. They've put all their faith in Sam Darnold. And as I keep saying, you're only good as your quarterback, I think, in the playoffs. And I don't know if I don't trust Sam Darnold. So I don't know if you get into the playoffs later, will he cower down like he did last year? That's up for debate, and we shall see. But again, don't trust the Seahawks. And as for the Vikings, this is what they get. We spoke about this like early episode, right? I talked about this. They had no plan at quarterback this season. They weren't good with J.J. McCarthy. They weren't good with Carson Wentz. And they really weren't good with Max Brosmer. 4 interceptions. And, of course, he had, as they said, his Will Levis moment where he just flips the ball to absolutely nobody, and it's a pick six. Underhand side over his head, hook shot, try to pass to get rid of the ball while he's being sacked. One of the dumbest interceptions you'll ever see. Mm-hmm. And, again, his first start. So maybe he gets better. Who knows? But that's the Vikings. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't know who said it, but they said that, again, Daniel Jones or Mac Jones would save this team and Justin Jefferson from wanting to be traded. I don't think those are the answers either. But they have fumbled the quarterback position, and they get what they deserve. I don't know if it costs, the coach the job, but because, again, he's not the one making these decisions. So they get what they get. They're done.
Yeah.
So we definitely don't trust them. And as we say, we don't trust the Seahawks either.
No. And I was just going to say, I'm going to say that Brosner's the new Nathan Peterman. I don't see him recovering from this. It was such a bad showing. He panicked out there as a quarterback. He showed that when you bring pressure, he loses his mind. I'm just going to throw the ball away for a pick six was the dumbest thing I've seen in a very long time. And I don't know if he was unprepared, but I feel like they should have ran some safer sets for him, maybe to protect him from himself. But we'll see. I have no sympathy for them either. Let's move to the next game. Another team, high hopes. I had this guy as the best quarterback in the league in Josh Allen. They were able to go into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. That was mainly to, the credit of Aaron Rodgers with, playing hurt. I saw that shot that he took live, and I thought he was done for the night. Like it was a bad shot, and it was the worst one. And I always hear, I'm trying to remember who that was that said it. They always say from a defensive player perspective, it's the favorite hit where where your eyes get wide and you can square a guy up and take a shot at him, and it's a clean, legal hit, and he never sees it coming. Aaron Rodgers had no idea that his night was about to go that way. Busted his face up, hurt his already, fractured arm, and obviously his left arm, his non-passing arm. But the Bills were able to get a win. They're now 8-4, and I think we all know that game would have been more competitive if Aaron Rodgers was healthy. So, it kind of, even though the Bills played well and Josh Allen was a man out there doing what he needed to do to score those touchdowns, I still don't think that we fully trust them. Go ahead and tell me that you trust the Bills.
No, I still don't trust the Buffalo Bills because they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't care about that. The Steelers are what they're 500 now. Aaron Rodgers, again, a little banged up. I don't know if that mattered. Their second leading receiver is Kenneth Gainwell. They've done nothing to get another receiver on that football team. You just can't win like that. Their defense, again, they've showed they can play tough one week and the next week get exposed. Definitely don't trust the Steelers. And they did come to my mind today when I saw that Adam Thielen got waived by the Vikings so he could try to get on a team that he'd get more use out of them. Mm. And I thought of the Steelers. I'm like, yeah, please sign Adam Thielen. Give Aaron Rodgers another receiver who knows how to run routes and get open. Because Rodgers threw his receivers under the bus yesterday, talking about they don't watch film, so they don't know where to go. And I just like watching the Steelers because Aaron Rodgers looks like an angry old man. He yells at somebody every game, and it makes me laugh. So that keeps me entertained when I watch the Steelers. I just watch so Aaron Rodgers will yell at somebody for not doing something right. And but yeah, they should sign Adam Thielen. And again, the Bills, a good win for the Buffalo Bills, by the way. So they bounced back nice. That's a tough place to play. I think they broke the record for an opposing team's rushing yards in that stadium. So good for Buffalo, wow. Bad for the Steelers, and as we just keep saying, we don't trust either one.
Yeah, not the only record that was broken. Josh Allen broke Cam Newton's quarterback rushing record.
Yes, he did.
So that was another record that was broken, and there was no record broken when actually, you know what? There may be a record broken when it comes to Aaron Rodgers blaming someone else for the fact that the team didn't play well. That seems to track. And I'm not shocked by that in any form, shape, or fashion. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. And if I had to argue it, I could probably make a strong point that that's what he does best, especially at this point in his career. And we can move on.
I know. Hey, and by the way, I mean, we're sitting here, we're talking about this, right? But back to the Vikings. They had a little conversation about Aaron Rodgers, and they chose not to sign him.
There you go.
And I swore, I think I made that statement to you, as we talked in the all season, was I thought like Vikings sign Aaron Rodgers, man, that's a game changer. That puts them in
it's
Super
a total
Bowl
game changer
because again, they do have weapons, they do have receivers.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you have to think about. But I think it would have been a great football move, like as a team move. But I think him going to the Steelers and having a strong, cemented head coach like Mike Tomlin was probably going to be best for him, because I could see him having his feet up on anyone's desk right now in Minnesota if he was a Viking. But so I'm just going to stick with, I do remember you saying that, and I think you're right. It would have been a good move, but there was something that happened where the Vikings are like, nah, you know what? We're just gonna roll our dice with J.J. McCarthy. You don't want to soil this and actually give ourselves a chance with Aaron Rodgers.
No, like I said, they made their bed. Now they're laying in it, and I don't knock. Rodgers. I think it's a good decision to go to Pittsburgh. I just think they need to give him another receiver.
I think I'm not gonna give Aaron Rodgers that out. I'm just not. It can't all fall on your receivers every damn time. He's been just doing this since he was a Packer.
But they have DK Metcalf. That's it, and a bunch of big fat tight ends.
Well, and I'll say this: this is no disrespect to Metcalf, but he hasn't been that great of a wide receiver for quite some time.
And that's fine.
He's got a great name, and his body is chiseled out of granite.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
Yeah.
His productivity has taken a dive. He hasn't been a great wide receiver. So I know we'd like to kind of think of him at his best. Yeah. He's not that, and neither is Aaron Rodgers as a 40-something-year-old banged-up quarterback who's not going to get better throughout the rest of this year.
I got you.
Let's scroll. We're almost closing out here. Chargers, Raiders. We know the Raiders stink. We can go ahead and get rid of that.
Yeah.
But so the Chargers were able to beat them, at home.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert had a pretty good game, balled out. But I think that's always going to be kind of the story with Justin Herbert. What can he do? They kind of, crown him as the next big thing. All the coaches loved him. All the GMs loved, Justin Herbert. Oh, if I could start a franchise today, I'm taking Justin Herbert. And, what happens is they play well. They kind of lose steam toward the end of the season, and then they fizzle out in the playoffs, even if they make it. So I think you share kind of some of the same sentiments. Do you agree?
Yeah. As I always say, Justin Herbert is the most overrated player in the NFL. And it wouldn't matter who played the Raiders this week. I would have said, I'm not impressed by your victory. So on to the next one. I don't trust the Chargers. Just like everybody else, and especially after they beat the Raiders. On to the next game.
On to the next one. So let's go to the last one I got right here. So let's go Broncos Commanders. Now, We know that Bo Nix, up and down year, they were able to squeak out a 1-point win on the road against, Marcus Mariota, who I like as a quarterback. He's consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's going to make some mistakes, but I don't feel like he loses you football games. And the Broncos are now currently sitting with 10 wins and 2 losses. But I don't their running game is atrocious. Their defense I feel like there's some college teams that could put up points on their defense. And for Bo Nix to have a good showing. I'm sorry, say that again. The Broncos. I feel like there are some college teams that can put some points up on them. Yes, I do. I mean, for you to have the Commanders put up 26 points on you with Marcus Mariota, no running game. Marcus Mariota had the most rushing yards on that team. Okay, like there's holes there for that team, and I feel like, and we've talked about it, I feel like there hadn't been a luckier quarterback all season than Bo Nix, man. He has lucked his way into so many wins that I feel like that should have been losses. I mean, I know it sounds like hate, but I got to go with what I see. I have to trust my eyes. And watching NFL football is one of the rare things that you can watch that isn't AI generated. And I know what I see from Bo Nix, and he's not a great quarterback. And unfortunately, that's what the NFL is based around, like a solid veteran quarterback. And I know what I see from them. I'm not comfortable with them. You tell me how you feel.
I do think he's scrappy, and I just want to bring up with the Broncos real quick. Against teams that we may say, I don't know about that. 8-point win against the Titans. They did win. They did beat the Eagles, but I'm not going to count the Eagles as a bad team, not right now. A 2-point win against the Jets. A 1-point win against the Giants. A 3-point win against the Texans, which Texans, as we said, are pretty good. Now, they're getting there, right? 3-point win against the Raiders. 3-point win against the Chiefs, and a 1-point win against the Commanders.
Sounds like a quarterback that's lucking his way into getting wins, right?
Yeah, it like I said, he's made the plays, so I'm gonna give him credit. Like some of those games, he made the drive, he made the plays. Their defense is pretty good. Like I said, they lead the league in sacks, but I can see where you look at some of these games, you're like, how do they give up these points to these teams, right? What'd you say? Well,
yes.
Was it 26 to Washington, 32 to New York,
to the Colts.
Giants,
32 to the Giants, 24 to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like even when they were running away with those games, they were still giving up points. So that's what I mean. Like, so we could talk about their defense has moments, but that's what I said when I said that about a college. I feel like a college team could put up points on them. You can score and get some points on them, and they are lucking their way into these wins. Look, man, their win streak is impressive, dude. Like, it's a lot of wins that they've been able to streak together, and wins are hard to get in the NFL. But when it comes down to, hey, now the only thing that's left on your schedule are killers, you're not banking on the Broncos, dude. You're not trusting Bo Nix.
No, it's going to really depend. Like I said, we don't trust them. I don't care what their record is, and especially when you look at that. And, again, the goal is to win football games, and they can keep telling me that it's the National Football League any week. You never know. But they have won close games. They have gotten those late field goals, late stops to win the game. So credit there, but that doesn't make me trust you. Not when it comes to the playoffs, not when it comes to playing another team that's probably superior. But again, it really will depend on who gets in the playoffs and what seed you are. Is it a home game? All that's going to really, really matter this year.
Yeah, let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. They closed it out with the nightcap on Thanksgiving, and this game did not go the way that I wanted it to go. It did not go the way that I thought it would go. I had the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and with Lamar Jackson coming, it's ugly. And with Joe Burrow returning, I figured he would have a kind of a warm up game, but they showed out, man. Beating Baltimore 32-14, and even though we know that offense is electric, and clearly their defense played better enough, to stifle, that Ravens high powered offense. Even if they played well and won out the rest of the season, I don't think you'd have a lot of confidence in them as a team going into the playoffs. But to me, this was a story about the Ravens. Like, this was a chance for them to just kind of cement themselves, get them over the hump after having that string of losses with Lamar Jackson being injured. But but just what are your thoughts? How did you feel about it?
I was super surprised that the Bengals won like that. Not surprised they won. Division game, Thursday night. But the way they won, how the score in Baltimore. But again, credit to Joe Burrow. He came back, looked like he never left. And Lamar Jackson, it's taking him some games to battle back from the injury. And if we're really being honest about the Ravens, I mean, they've not looked right all season. Put them in that category with the Chiefs, the Bills, the Eagles, who these are probably like some of the teams. These are our favorites. Correct. So they just something's off with these teams. And once again, we don't trust any of them. The Bengals would have to go on one hell of a run to get in the playoffs and win that division. But I would say the division's up for grabs. It's getting less and less each week now because the games are getting less. But they're all right there. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust either team, one of these teams now. I don't care if the Ravens would get in. I still don't trust them. They just something is off. And my big take here is that whoever wins this division, the AFC North, they're gonna backpedal their way into the playoffs. And then I also expect multiple 500 record teams to win a division. I think it's like the NFC South, the AFC South, possibly, and the AFC North. Probably least on the AFC South. I think they'll be fine, but yeah, that NFC South and AFC North, both of those divisions, I think a 500 team or one game above will win.
We'll make a playoff appearance. Yeah, I mean
we'll win the division. Like it's gonna be like
it's that close, man. Yeah, it's really that close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I like you said, all those teams had the potential to really pull away. They've had the opportunities to just make a name for themselves and pull away from everyone, and they just haven't. All of them have fallen flat in games that we all feel like they should have won. But that's just the way this entire season's going. It's been a consistent theme every week where we sit here and talk about these teams. It's like, what the hell is happening? Yeah. And I'm just glad that I'm not a gambler. I'm not one of those guys. So I'm watching the games. It makes my head hurt sometimes, but at least I'm not losing any money or any sleep. All right, so lastly, we'll just cap this off talking about the Patriots. They're on a hell of a winning streak themselves. They're at the recording of this podcast, they're going to play the Giants. My expectation is that they'll win that game too. And, looking at their wins, looking at their quarterback play, looking at their running game, looking at their defense, looking at their schedule, looking at the division that they're in, their record should be impressive as a team with 10 wins and 2 losses. And I still don't trust them. And it's sad because some of this is kind of some of the leftover lingering Belichick, Tom Brady hate. And I am man enough to admit that. But at the same time, like I said, there's always a discomfort that comes with professional football to where we kind of have to see you do it before we trust you. And I haven't seen this regime do it. I do think they're a well-run organization with great coaching, and clearly they've got great players, and they know how to put wins together. But they're not a good enough team in my eyes for my money. And I know it sounds ridiculous. With the team that's got 2 losses early in the year, it sounds as if 2 losses early in the year, and they've been clicking ever since. I still have to see it in order for me to believe it. It's unfair, but sue me. Kent, I'm curious if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I do. They're very comparable to the Broncos. that they're both up there in ranking, up there in their record. Their games, you don't take them. It's because of who they beat and how they beat them that you don't want to just go full in on them. But I could see the Patriots going on a run. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying, some years you have that team that comes out of nowhere that improves just drastically from the season before. And the reason I say that about the Patriots is that they had the cap space, they added the pieces, they added the coach. Again, we talk about coaching matters. Not that I trust them, but I could see them doing more damage than, as we said, like the Denver Broncos. And you mentioned they play the Giants tonight, and we know the Giants season's done. But I can't remember if I sent y'all this, but I saw a meme, and it was a great idea. If you watched the Lions-Giants a few weeks ago, Jameis Winston catching a touchdown pass. So the idea was that Jameis Winston, the NFL should make him the backup quarterback for every team. That way we get to see his greatness all the time. Any week, you never know when you're going to get Jameis Winston, and he is just it's just magic to watch him on the field. He's entertaining. He's just got that personality.
Great locker room guy. His teammates love him.
Yeah, again, he's not a bad player. Again, he really isn't. But watching him catch a pass and then fight off the defender to get the touchdown, that was amazing. He still gives you the bad passes, but that's what you get with him. You take the good and the bad. But yeah, make Jameis Winston the backup quarterback for every team. I'll sign off on that. That would be awesome.
No, good deal. Yeah, and the one thing I'll say, I'll take a step back from my Patriots hate, that's been formed over the last few decades. And the one thing I will say about them is, out of every single team in the league, they are without a doubt the most consistent team this season. You know what you're going to get from them. Now, I still don't trust them, but like you said, if they were to advance, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't. It's just hard for me to see it. So go out, show me, win the games, win them in impressive fashion, control the clock, move the ball. Sure, I'll take it. But they've been more consistent than any other teams with veteran teams, veteran coaches, veteran front offices. So I'm going to give them their flowers there. But unfortunately, I put them in the same bucket. I still don't trust them.
Yeah, and again, I know we've done these episodes each week, and it may seem the same, but it's really not. Like we like to break down each week these teams and where they stand, and we kind of been making picks, and I think we're on the same. Like I said, we're on the same page now. Week 13, and we don't trust anybody. DTA, don't trust anybody. I'm not ready to make a pick on anybody now.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't even say, even when playoff seedings are solidified, again, it'll be one of the riskiest times ever that I can think of people when it's like, well, you actually have to make picks and there's stakes involved. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for everybody. Let's talk some college football. And the story is, it's all Lane Kiffin. Now, there's a lot of things, and this is what I love about this story, is that it's kind of been building for the last couple of weeks. Ole Miss head coach, and they're having a really good season. He's outperformed what he's done, but Lane Kiffin is one of the rare college football coaching personalities that's actually a personality, which to me is incredibly refreshing. I like that, but he's ruffled a lot of feathers. He's getting a lot of hell for his departure from Ole Miss, how he's leaving them to go to accept a position as the head coach at LSU. And you had some takes on it. I've got some stuff that we haven't really had a chance to discuss. But I'm going to let you go ahead and just lead into Lane Kiffin, and I'll try to close it out.
Yeah, so this is, and if you've watched any TV, you see the same kind of the same thoughts on some of it. Some of it's on college football. and as we know, in the NCAA, they know how to screw some stuff up. They do it in basketball. They do it in football. They have these weird rules, these weird timelines. So they've, I think recruiting, they can start in like 2 days. So that put a little pressure on Lane Kiffin to make this decision. But again, his history makes him look like he looks, right? He was at Tennessee for 1 season, and then he left, right? Went to USC. Thought that was the better job, right? He had worked there before. Didn't work out so great at USC. So then he ended up as a coordinator, offensive coordinator at Alabama. Then he got the Florida Atlantic job. Then he had proven himself. So he got the Ole Miss job, turned that program around. And like you said, they are in the playoff this year. And with it being 12 teams, they could win the national championship. And that's what makes this story so interesting is that, it was a tough decision for him, sure, right? I mean, he's having to say, he was trying to be able to go to LSU, but also want to coach Ole Miss. And, Ole Miss is just like, no, you're not going to go to our rival, and we're going to let you stay on and coach our team in the playoff. So I understand that. And I understand he was trying to do whatever, and he's trying to blame who he blames. Look, he made a decision, right? They say LSU is one of the top coaching jobs in the country. So he got it. He made his decision. Call it what you want. I would call it but you literally have a shot to win with Ole Miss. You only got 1 loss. So, yeah, it's just a tough one because also you look at it on the LSU side and you can say, what is it about Lane Kiffin? You just fired Brian Kelly, who had actually coached in a national championship with Notre Dame. You fired him because he wasn't getting it done. The last time, again, Lane Kiffin had a top job was at USC. Now, that's been, over 10 years ago, but it didn't work out. So maybe he has grown as a coach. Maybe you think he is the answer after being at Alabama under Saban, doing what he's doing at Ole Miss. Maybe he's going to do the same at LSU. It is a top job. They do, a lot of coaches win there, no matter who coaches there, right? Except Brian Kelly. But, they win national championships. So maybe it will work out. I think he's in a tough spot. I think it's just a bad look. And I think the playoff now with 12 teams, the timeline of NCAA, it's just a little bit of a bad look that, you have to leave a team that you've worked so hard to build at Ole Miss, and now you're in the playoff, and anybody's got a shot in the playoff, and you have to leave them high and dry to go get your better job. So that's all I got. I mean, like I said, it's a dirty business, that college sports these days.
It is a dirty business, and that's why when we did our episode weeks ago about NIL, I always made it clear that this is why I never cared when anybody talked about coaches, because this is the type of shit that they do. And Lane Kiffin is an outlier in a lot of ways. I feel like some other coaches, there have been some coaches who've done things similar, and there's also been there's been coaches who've done things similar, and then there's coaches that do things in a more classy, fashion where maybe they try to keep the rumblings and the whispers down. But keep in mind that the reason why this thing got as messy as it did was because he had multiple options. This wasn't just the LSU job. It was also the Florida job. And he was pretty much pitting the two against each other. I'm not going to say he necessarily made it a bidding war, but those are 2 premier top-tier college football coaching jobs, okay? And he, for the most part, had his pick. If he wanted to go to Florida, if he really wanted to go to Florida, he could have went to Florida, and we could be having this conversation about Florida as opposed to LSU. But I'm going to flip this because I want to have fun with this. And I'm just curious, if you heard of a reporter by the name of Ben Garrett, does that name sound familiar to you at all?
No.
Of course not. Ben Garrett is a reporter who covers Ole Miss football. And this is our medium. It's our wheelhouse. We're podcasters. And Ben Garrett said in a podcast, quote, in regards to Lane Kiffin, "You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Hoes don't act right. Okay? That's what he said on a podcast. Now, of course, after the game, Lane Kiffin approaches this gentleman and gets in his face, literally face to face, and says, "Oh, you're going to call me a hoe? Well, why don't you meet me in the back and call me a hoe?" Okay? Now, I've always had kind of there's a stigma surrounding college football coaches where they have to give off the persona of tough guys. He's towering over this, this reporter who said a thing. And look, you talk shit like that on a podcast, somebody runs up to you in public, you got to back it up, or you stand down like this reporter did. But Lane Kiffin walked up on him surrounded by state troopers and says this to this, and said this to this guy who, who's trying to make a name for himself on the podcast. It came off as a little, and it's like, what he said, he called me a hoe. But come on, it's an expression. I know Lane Kiffin's heard that expression before. And if we're going to be real, if you want to talk about any college football head coach ever that presents himself as a hoe, you kind of got to say it's Lane Kiffin, because you just get rattled off plenty of examples how the second somebody starts fanning some extra money in his face, he just ups and leaves. Forget the recruiting, forget the AD, forget the fan base, forget that university. He leaves it burning down to go on to the next thing. And so that's kind of where this kind of stood out to me. I have no idea what's going to happen to him in LSU. I have no idea. But we're talking about a college program who had probably the most. I mean, if Nick Saban was the epitome of Alabama football, Ed Orgeron was the epitome of LSU football, if that makes any sense. And I don't see Lane Kiffin being that. And his arrogance as a head football coach is gonna run out really, really fast in LSU. He's gonna have to come in and win in dominant fashion and win a lot of games and make playoffs runs. I think he's got 2 years. And they're going to chase him out of there with torches and pitchforks, dude. Like, all of this stuff is cute when you're winning games and when you're the guy. And he's going to go in and he's going to get some guys. But they better produce for him. Like, it's going to be super ugly for Lane Kiffin. And I think this situation, because, we talked about, Tennessee. We talk about USC. We talked about the Raiders. We talked about just kind of how he leaves it, Ole Miss, obviously. We talk about how he's going to leave these situations always in a worse situation than when he arrived. They're not going to stand for that in LSU. And this may be, if he goofs this up, it's going to be hard for that dude to get a job anywhere, because you left this trail of blood with all these other football institutions that are reputable places. Tennessee, USC, Ole Miss, the Raiders. Like, these are really serious football places, and you just gave them all of them double middle fingers. The second a better opportunity came about, or when things tank so bad and you can't recover from it. So things could go really, really bad in LSU for him, man. I hope he does well for his own sake, and I really hate to put it like this because I don't want to make it seem like I'm threatening this dude and his safety. But he's putting himself in danger if he doesn't go in there and give the LSU football standard the seriousness that it requires. There's nothing else going on in that state. It's all about LSU football. And I hope he understood that when he signed that contract and agreed to take all that money.
It's definitely risky. Like I said, Brian Kelly, he left in the middle of the night from Notre Dame, and then he couldn't get it done, and they ran him out of town. So, again,
got
Lane
his
Kiffin,
ass up out of there.
Truthfully, it's like I said, it's really weird. I get it. You think certain jobs are the top jobs, but he'd really done a really good job in Ole Miss. And truthfully, they are having better seasons in the past. Well, since he was at Ole Miss, they were having better seasons than LSU and Florida. So it's kind of weird, but hopefully, like I said, Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know why another college – I mean, I know why they would hire him because they want to win. But, again, they would have to know the risk. Again, if it doesn't work out in LSU, you always got to know that Lane Kiffin is always looking for that next one. The bigger job, the bigger payday. He's shown that. But, again, like I said, to his defense, this was a tough one because of the timeline that the NCAA puts out there. It's nothing new for coaches to leave. Again, and if he wins, we forget about it, right? We forget that Nick Saban lied to us when he was the Dolphins coach and said he wasn't going to Alabama, and then he went to Alabama and became the greatest college football coach ever. So, maybe Lane Kiffin will do that. Who knows? But, yeah, he is definitely something special, and he's got that stigma that he's kind of created himself, and he's got no one to blame but himself. So we shall see.
So watch this, and I'll agree with you in terms of if Lane Kiffin goes and he wins and that team is successful. And when I say that team, I mean LSU. But I'm just going to point this out. Ole Miss has an opportunity to make the college football playoff. And I just want you to imagine and envision that team goes on to win a national championship without their head coach.
That'd be the greatest story ever.
I don't think he'll be able to outlive that, especially to say that they went and did it without him. That's massive. So yeah, maybe he can cover up some of that stink and put some perfume on the turd if he wins at LSU, but he's not going to be able to do that at least for another year. Let Ole Miss go. And here's the thing: even if Ole Miss makes a championship game, that's still going to say a lot about him. And people are going to hold that over his head and say, dude, you had an opportunity to coach that team to a championship and you bailed on them. Because we can sit here and say, I understand you say, hey, the timeline for decisions to be made. He could have told everyone, you know what, guys? No, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to coach this team to the end of the season and I'll deal with this the way that I want to deal with it. And whatever comes of it, comes of it. But I want to stay here with it. He could have said that. He has that kind of power. And he chose to leave because he had two great options in Florida and LSU, and he chose LSU. So I'm not going to give Lane Kiffin an out. That dude ain't no victim.
I honestly, he might have had some leverage because who else was LSU going to go get? Urban Meyer?
That's my point. He's the hot chick.
Right?
He is the hot chick at the bar. You can leave with any dude you want, hot chick. Make your pick and just tell them, like, listen. But you know what I think the problem is? He would have had to make a decision and then trusted that they wouldn't go out and get someone else in the interim. So he would have had to say, hey, LSU, let's do it. I'm in, but you gotta let me go ahead and coach this out. And maybe the fear is that if he was to go on and win a national championship with Ole Miss, how do you leave after that?
Yeah, and like I said, the recruiting starts in a couple days, so that's the kicker. But it's a business. We forget that. Everyone forgets it's a business. It is not. They are not. What is it?
What do you mean, student athletes? What are you talking about?
They're not student athletes.
Kid. Come
this
on.
is a business, $1 million business, because as LSU is paying Brian Kelly, what is it, $50-some million buyout?
$54 million, sir.
They're going to also pay Lane Kiffin $100 million. So.
Well, I mean, by the way, I am shocked by that. I thought that college football was all about higher education. I had no idea that it was about money. My mind is blown right now. I thought Lane Kiffin's main focus was making sure that these young men get degrees and become productive human beings. I didn't know that it was about football and making money.
Hey, you remember you said the top 3 professional sports is the NFL, the NBA, and college football.
And by the way, not even in that order. It's the NFL. It's the NFL.
College football.
And college football. Yeah, it's big money.
You're right.
You want to go ahead and close this out?
Yep. That's another episode of Fanatically Speaking. I am Kent, the co-host and promoter.
I am Logoff, the Logoff legend, the hater of social media. I am the co-host and producer of the show. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Fanatically Speaking. This is a show for fans, by fans, for fans. We are all over the internet. Kent has posted some content all over our socials. He did that over this weekend. TikTok, Did you put it on Facebook and Instagram?
It's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube.
So go to our socials, follow, like, review, share, subscribe. The podcast is on all podcast audio platforms: Apple, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We are everywhere. Anywhere podcasts are, you can find us. Kent, that is all I got, and I'm still laughing at this Lane Kiffin stuff, man. It just makes me chuckle. I love it.
Hey, again, I want to piggyback again on our social, and like I said, the listening. We obviously want listeners on our podcast, and we need followers on TikTok and social. Want to be able to go live, try to reach enough followers to go live on TikTok. But I'm gonna keep doing videos, try to do them after big games, not just Eagle games. But again, we are Eagle fans, so I got some ideas. But again, trying to do some videos, some recaps. After games, after events. But yeah, just be on the lookout for that. Like I said, go like, follow, share, all that fun stuff.
Yes, please do. And just make sure to share it with people that you know. Make sure to share it online. And if you disagree with something, leave them a comment. Let Kent know.
Hey, and again, I got a lot of comments, got a lot of interaction off the videos that I did. So. Just expect more of that and keep them coming.
Yeah, absolutely. That is all I got, sir. You good?
I'm good. It's a wrap.
All right.